Hey YouTube, welcome back to Dwayne's World. So did you kill off your perennial rye at this point if you've overseeded? Well, I hope so. And I'm going to show you how I took care of mine and kind of a follow-up to my Verticut video. You want to find out what it's all going to look like? Better stay tuned. So welcome back to Season 4, Episode 12, here on Dwayne's World. This is kind of a two-part video, meaning there's two different topics I'll be covering during this episode of Dwayne's World. The first of which is the killing off of my perennial rye in my front lawn. I gotta tell you, I'm a little bit concerned. I'll show you a video I took about 2 weeks ago, being able to kill off that rye and what it looks like today, and what some of my concerns are. But I kind of felt like after my last video, I left out a very important part of the Verticut. That's the cleanup mow. So with the cleanup pass, we'll go ahead and break out the California Trimmer Classic, and we'll see how well we can lay down those stripes. All right, so with that, let me take you back a couple weeks ago and give you a look here at the lawn and how I killed off the perennial rye. All right, guys, so D-Day has come. And what I mean by D-Day is not Dwayne's World Day, no. It's the day that all of us that overseed our hybrid Bermuda in the fall with perennial rye has to deal with the spraying out and killing off of the rye, which will allow the Bermuda to come back. Now, I got to tell you, this year versus other years, I'm not as hurt on having to spray it out. And let me kind of walk over here and explain why. As I'm coming over to this part of the lawn, as you guys notice here, I have quite a bit of browning or yellowing, however you want to look at it. And I'm not exactly sure of what's going on here, but I believe it's a fungus. So because I had that fungus in my lawn, what I decided to do is I decided to make sure I did take care of the issue regardless of me spraying out the perennial rye. So what I did is I threw down some purple conazole 14.3 to be able to hopefully fix that issue that I'm experiencing in that part of the lawn. Now, one of the things that is important to remember about any type of fungicide you put down, the point of fungicide is to stop whatever's happening. It's not going to necessarily reverse the damage that happened. Now, the only thing that's going to fix it is time. Or if you have a cool season lawn, maybe reseeding it. But at the very least, I did not want to take that same problem into the Bermuda. And that's why I decided to treat the issue regardless of the grass type. Now, one of the things I'll tell you that probably didn't help me was during the majority of this growing season for the perennial rye, I rarely caught my clippings. Most of the time when mowing, I was just returning those clippings back to the lawn. And as you guys can see here, as where the fungus originally started, which was back here, but I also have fungus up here. And it looks like it's spreading to other parts of my lawn, or did spread to other parts of my lawn, as you guys can see there, and you can see there. So this is why it's so important that anytime you are dealing with the fungus, you do want to make sure you do catch your clippings, as well as wash down your machine in between each mow. Now, some people ask me, Dwayne, do I have to kill off the rye? Won't it just die on its own because of the heat? Yes and no. However, one of the things that's important to understand about cool season grass is sometimes you believe that the grass is dead, and it's not. And basically all that's happened is it's yellowed and went into a dormant state. So if I left that perennial rye untreated, what it's going to do anytime I'm actually trying to feed my Bermuda lawn, water my Bermuda lawn, it's going to be taking part of those nutrients. Now, Bermuda is the alpha grass. It's going to pretty much dominate in the lawn. However, anytime you have a competing grass type, it definitely can have a negative impact on your Bermuda. In fact, perennial rye actually puts out a chemical within itself that actually hurts the Bermuda. So that's why anytime you overseed, make sure to spray it out. Do not leave it, because you'll just be creating more issues for yourself that you definitely don't want. All right, so this is what I'll be using to kill off the perennial rye. Now, you're going to notice I do have two separate herbicides here. I have Celsius or Certainty. Either one is rated to kill off the perennial rye. The reason why I'm choosing to go with both versus just the one has nothing to do with the rye. In fact, it has to do with the weeds that are on my lawn, because I have both broadleaf and some POA in my lawn, and I want to be able to take care of both those things. Now, the POA is probably going to die off as the heat comes on, but this is going to help speed up that process, so that way I'll be good to go. Now, one of the things you definitely want to do anytime you are using any type of herbicide is do put a surfactant with it, because the surfactant is going to help that really coat the leaf of the plant, so that way the herbicide can go to work. All right, so as far as rates, on the Celsius, I'm going to be using 3.2 grams On the certainty, I'm going to be using 0.8 grams per gallon of water. So that should be able to cover me for 1,000 square feet. How am I going to measure it out? Well, I'm going to use my digital scale here. With the certainty, it does include a large spoon. However, I like using the scale. The same thing with the Celsius. It does have a measuring cup, but I like to be that much more accurate. These digital scales do not cost very much. You can pick one up on Amazon. I'll link the one I have in the description below. That way we make sure we get the right amount of herbicide into 1 gallon of water. All right, so go ahead and turn on the scale here, and we'll get it set up. Now, you can set this up for different types of weights. I do have it set to grams. Now I'm going to go ahead and just set my cup here on top of the actual scale, and just kind of give it a minute to calm down here. And then from there, I can go ahead and hit my tar button, which will then zero it out. And that way, anything I add to the scale is just of the actual product. All right, so I'm going to start by adding the Celsius here. And again, I want to get to 3.2 grams. All right, that's pretty close there. That's 3.18. I'll go ahead and go with that. And go ahead and add that to my backpack sprayer here. Perfect. And again, we're going for 0.8. That's a hair over, but that's okay. Then we'll go ahead and add that to the backpack sprayer as well. All right, so now that I got my herbicides inside the backpack sprayer, I'm going to go ahead and just add a little bit of surfactant here. I'm only going to add about a half an ounce here, to be honest with you. This stuff is a little bit stronger than the stuff I've used in the past, so I don't need a whole lot here. Now, one of the things that is important to know is that you do want to make sure you're using the right type of tip anytime you're applying a foliar application, such as the killing off of the Perennial Rye. Now, the tip I use is made by T-Jet here. As you guys can see, it's a fan spray. It does a really, really good job anytime you're trying to put down any type of foliar application, such as a herbicide or a liquid fertilizer. But you absolutely want to make sure you are using the right tip for you to be able to get the best results. All right, guys, so that's it. We'll see what happens. But it's going to take a little time, so let's jump ahead about 2 weeks and see what it looks like. All right, guys, so there she is. Now, I know. I'm a little concerned too. But I think we're going to be all right. Now, one of the things I did do, as I started to see the rye start to die off, I went ahead and did a scalp and brought my lawn down to about a half an inch. When it broke out the McLean, be able to take care of that work. But I think now, just going to give it a little more time, obviously. I just recently threw down some PGF Complete, and that should be able to help the lawn kind of bounce back. Now, this is to be expected. Oh, guys, I got to tell you, really depressing there, seeing the lawn look the way it does. Definitely a huge difference from what it looked like a month ago. But I do have some green grass in the back, so I'm going to take you guys to the California trimmer, start it up, and get on with our mow. So Dwayne, why no real rollers grass topper? And you would be right. Now the only reason why, I absolutely love the real rollers grass topper and highly recommend it, especially when you pair it with the grass shield extension that California Trimmer offers. But the reason why I chose not to use it today was just simply because of the fact I wanted to see the clippings go into the actual catcher, see what was actually coming out of the lawn. That is the only reason why I chose to do what I did. But that is also why I'm wearing some safety glasses just so I don't get any dust in my eye, which the real rollers grass topper really helps minimize that. So with that, let's get back to the mow. Kind of just jump in here on the mow for just a minute. I'm going to show you guys that area that I found a little bit of spring dead spot. All right, so there we have it. It's looking a little bit better. Definitely the plugs have definitely taken root. So now I just got to give it a little more time to be able to fill in. Now, one of the areas I also discovered in my lawn here is a little bit over to the right of that area. And I may have another issue right here, but I think maybe one plug may fix that issue. Now I may have an issue right here as well, but as you guys can see, the Bermuda is starting to spread out there. Those are the two areas in my lawn here where I may have had spring dead spots. So I think the plugs definitely make a huge difference. If you do not have a pro plugger, maybe something you want to look at, it definitely can help you guys fix some of those trouble areas in your lawn. So with that, let's get back to the mow. All right, guys, I just want to point one thing out. For those of you that are paying really close attention, you may notice this Ego battery looks a little bit different. Well, the one I actually have here in my hand is actually an aftermarket one I decided to try, and I picked it up on Amazon. I think it was a lightning deal for like 45 bucks for a 5-amp battery. So I kind of figured, you know what, let me give it a try. And so far, it's worked out pretty well. I'll go ahead and link this one down in the description below if you're interested. Even if it only worked half as good as the Ego one, I think it's well worth the money. Gotta tell you though, I absolutely love those Ego products. Now, looking at my lawn here, I gotta be honest with you, this might be my nicest mow since the green up. Not too bad, not too bad. Let's go take a better look. All right, guys, so what do you think? That cleanup pass after verticutting. Oh my goodness. It is looking great. Now, of course, still have some areas here that need to fill in. They're still greening up, but God, I gotta tell you, California Trimmer Classic Absolutely killing it with those stripes. Oh, now when I did my verticut, I went in that direction there. My cleanup pass was in that direction there. You can still see some of the lines left by the verticutter, but again, this is being cut at 5/8 of an inch. When I verticut, it was about a half an inch. But I absolutely cannot complain about the start of this 2025 growing season. Looking great, looking great. Well, hope you guys enjoyed this video. In some ways, it was kind of a part 2 to my verticut video, but I am a little bit worried, I gotta tell you, about the lawn in the front. It is awfully yellow and not enough green. But I do have a plan B, as I mentioned. I'm gonna find out what that plan B is gonna be. Better give me a like on this video, subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell so you'll be notified anytime Dwayne's World puts out a new video. And remember, be excellent, party on.